Welcome. Phenomenal morning, guys. This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Sean East, and of course, I'm flanked as always by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. Let me tell you guys something, right? I want you guys to understand this. This show is for CEOs. This show is for leaders, CEOs, and professional business owners. Now, if that's you, phenomenal. If that's not you, then you must be a striving, serious entrepreneur. If that's you, then you're going to get your solutions on this call. Again, we're going to address challenges, bottlenecks, and help you create breakthroughs in your business. That's what we do here on the Breakfast with the Brand. Bobby Jackson, how you feeling, brother? Phenomenal morning to you, sir.
I'm feeling phenomenally branded this morning, feeling abundantly gifted as well. You know, I did the exercise you recommended yesterday, and I revisited some gifts that had been regifted. I literally opened up my old laptop library, and I listened to some of my old music. That's what I did.
Okay.
I went back and I listened to the music that I recorded and just really fell in love with the gifts that I'd been given and said, you know, there's many ways I can repurpose this at this stage in my life. And I hope everybody else did the same thing, you know, went through your gifts that had been regifted, those things that you didn't really want to play with at first, and really toyed around with them to find out what's capable. But that's what I did. And I'm feeling phenomenal, abundantly gifted this morning.
Very good. Guys, listen, we're going to get into some topics that are really going to address where you are in your business, how we're going to help you, what your challenges are, right? Because you want to address your challenges and you want to identify your challenges. It's kind of hard to address what hasn't been identified. It's really hard to address what hasn't been identified. So we're going to help you identify some challenges and then address those challenges and put together some strategies as we move into 2024, so that 2024 can be yours. I have a suggestion. I also have a request. Share this out. If you know this, it's important enough for you to be here. Be a leader. Leaders lead. Be a leader and share this out so that people can understand who you are, what you stand for, and that you're trying to help them. We'll be right back. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys. So the first thing that comes to my mind, right, is of course your brand. This is the breakfast with the brand, right? So we have to address your brand. What are some challenges dealing with your brand? Are you attracting? Do you have what we call market gravity? Market gravity. When you hear me say I apply principles that very few people do and very few people even know exist, such as market gravity, do you know what it means? Do you know what it means to pull the market to you, to have an irresistible offer? Do you have message to market fit yet? This is a real question. I want to ask you, do you know what market gravity is? You understand the principles of gravity, I'm sure. That's the market, that's gravity. That's the principle of gravity. You take something, you hold it up, and it falls. The earth pulls towards it. That's magnetism. That's gravity. Do you have pull? Listen to me very carefully. Are you doing outreach or answering inbound? Do people reach out to you? Do they reach out to you for solutions? If people are not reaching out to you for solutions, then you have not created market gravity. If you're reaching out to people, this is inverse. This is market gravity in reverse. If you're reaching out to people, that means that you don't have pull. If you're not closing deals, you are not seen as the expert in your field yet. Your brand has not established market gravity. But we can fix that.
You know, that made me think about the image of Toy Story when the individual has the game and they got the joystick and they're trying to get the toy out of the, I guess, bunch of toys and move it over. So I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's like a crane. It looks like a crane. It's a claw, and you've got to move it around. You put the token in. And I think that tends to be the approach that we take when we're just reaching out into the marketplace with no gravity. Like when we don't really know who the ideal client is, we don't know, we're new to the controls. Like we've put our money in there, say we're running ads or we're investing money and trying to get in front of the ideal client. So that gives us the opportunity to move the joystick around. But if we don't have the market gravity aspect, the magnetism to pull them to us, it's really like you have this huge clunky claw that you're throwing into the marketplace, trying to pull an ideal client out, and they just keep falling through your hands. They keep falling through your claw, and it's almost like you're so close, but yet so far. At least that's what it was like for me in my early years of getting into business, before I had the brand, before I had the market savvy, and before I knew what I was doing. It was almost like I would throw my hand out there, try to pull something back, and I just wouldn't get what I was looking for. So that's right. That's what came to mind.
Try pulling up water. Right? Try using the claw to pull up water. So Tanita says, phenomenal morning, terrific Tuesday. Tia says she has negative market gravity. Negative market gravity. I'm going to help everybody today, right? This is the giving season. This is the season of giving, right? So first off, I'd like for you to let me know who I'm talking to first. Let me know who you are and what you're calling in from and what your number one challenge is in business. What is your number one challenge in business? And I'm going to address the market gravity piece because a lot of people do not get this correct. Very simple, super simple principle. I'm going to give you a very, very simple principle. And I want to know if you catch it. You know, the goal of what we do here is to help you make money. Create businesses that add value truly add value into the marketplace, which means to solve problems. You need to be able to solve problems. People pay for value added. Value added looks like saved time, saved money, bridges built, or solved problems. What problems are you really solving in the marketplace? Because everybody can talk, everybody can go live, and a lot of people are enjoying that process. But the people that are making money, the people that are changing their lives, are the people that are changing the lives of others. And we do this through solving problems. So watch this real quick. I don't want to go off and explain what I'm going to say. I just want to give it to you. The earth and principles of gravity, market gravity, does one thing. Market gravity does one thing. You're not going to walk over a part of this planet that's going to shoot you up into the air. Gravity is never in reverse. It's never in reverse. It always goes one way. It goes one way. You're not going to walk anywhere and just start to float. You understand? It does one thing. The principles of market gravity work one way. They pull. That's why you're sitting down. That's why you're on the planet. That's why you can walk and go. You won't start floating. But watch this. We as entrepreneurs don't understand the principles of market gravity. So we try to do 10 things. We try to do 10 things. And because you try to do 10 things, nobody knows who you are or what you do. They're trying to figure you out. When a person has the problem of branding, I come to mind. Why? Because that's my one thing. So when someone has a problem with branding themselves and creating their personal brand, when they come across me, they say, he can solve my problem. So you know what happens next? As soon as the realization is struck, they reach out to me. My brand pulls. I have gravity. For the people that have my problem, the problem that I solve, I pull them towards me. Now, this is what you do. You have a problem that you can solve, but because nobody really knows that you exist yet, you try to pull, but you push at the same time. You try to pull. So when you say, let's just use me as an example. If I say that I help people try to build a personal brand, which is true, I pull them towards me. But if I turn around and I say that, oh, I also do X, I'm pushing them away from me. Pull, push. You never stay in one place long enough to become established. When people have to think about what you do, you have a push-pull taking place simultaneously. So you are compelling, as if this might hurt somebody. Don't take it personally. But you're compelling and you're repulsing at the very same time. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Raiz. I'm proud. I said Sean Raiz. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. All right, now let me show you exactly how this shows up in business so you understand. Because I know you might be saying to yourself, well, Sean does coaching and speaking and closing and consulting. He does all of these different things. Why does he say pull and push if I do 2 things? You know me for branding. But if you understood where I came from, and if you've been following me long enough, you understand that we do personal brand leadership. And we did not begin with branding. We began with leadership. We began with leadership. We helped people in the leadership space. I help professionals who have the 3 E's, the education, experience, and expertise. Those who are leaders in their vertical. But they might not be known. People might not know who they are. So because people don't know who they are, they don't have what we call the 3 I's: the impact, the income, and the independence that they require and desire. So there's a problem.
Right.
There's a gap. You create the bridge between the problem and the solution for your ideal client. This creates, think of it as a toll. Think of it as a toll bridge. The solution is in the Bronx or Brooklyn, and you're trying to get there from Manhattan. You're in Manhattan. People in Brooklyn have your solution. You have to cross the toll bridge. This is why you get paid, guys. This is why you get paid, because you become the bridge between someone's problem and solution. So leaders, my leaders out here, my speakers, my coaches, my consultants that have the education, experience, and expertise, but desire the impact, the income, and the independence, the bridge is the brand. The branding is the bridge to help leaders get from their problem to their solution. This I found out. I learned this working with leaders who had all of the qualifications, but were unknown in their vertical. Working on them with their problem, I came up with the solution. I discovered the solution. Oh, you guys are phenomenal at what you do. You got 20 years in your vertical. You got master's degrees. You've written books. You've done all of these different things. You've got certifications, but you don't have the monetization. And the reason why you don't have the monetization is because no one knows that you exist. And the way to go from the best kept secret to the only viable option is personal branding. The cheapest and the fastest way to add a 0 to your number and go from a $60,000 a year to a $60,000 a month It's creating a personal brand. That creates market gravity. When your messaging is that clear, that you are the bridge between your ideal client's problem and solution, you now have a business.
Man, I love this because one thing that many people might not know about gravity is that it affects things the same. You know, no matter how big or small something is, you can try this experiment. And I'm not going to go too crazy, but if you had a pin that's this big and you had like a bowling ball, you drop them from the same height, they're going to hit the ground at the same time. The reason that's important is because if you stick to your brand, you can attract small clients just as readily as you can attract big clients. Market gravity doesn't care about the size of the client. Like gravity doesn't care about the size of the person. You could be 100 pounds, 3,000 pounds. Granted, no one's that big, but like if something were that heavy, gravity's still going to do the job. And I think that's remarkable when we think about a brand, because you could be looking for the corporate client. If the brand has market gravity, gravity pulls. You could be looking at the small clients, say the mom and pop shop that you just want to help. If the brand has market gravity, it's going to pull. It doesn't matter how big or how small the thing is that it's pulling on. And I think that's pretty remarkable. You can just simply brand yourself and commit to the brand and pull on demand. So
I love it.
The other thing that I was thinking about as I went through my journey is what attracts people to you. And I learned that authenticity is one of the strongest approaches you can take, because the marketplace is full of people, right? Sometimes we can overcomplicate things. I know I can. Sometimes we can look at the market as this huge melting pot of competition and budgets that are competing with one another and all of this stuff. And we psych ourselves out of an opportunity. We think we don't have the money. We think we don't have the experience. We think we don't have the qualifications, when in reality, the marketplace is full of people. People just like you, just like me. People that have problems, families, and are looking for solutions. And when your brand says, I'm a person that has overcome A, B, or C, I have created a business that helps people like you and me continue to overcome the similar challenges that I've overcome, you really start to pull your ideal client to you, because you're being you. You are the brand, something you've probably heard us say here before, right? You are the brand. And when you're the brand and you take ownership of who you are, where you've been, and the levels that you have ascended to, it makes everything that you're trying to do more gravitational. So my question to the audience today would be, what is your brand? You know, Inky Johnson said, when you say just do it, everyone thinks about Nike. When you say I'm loving it, everybody thinks about McDonald's. When they say your name, what does everybody think about? That was Inky Johnson. He was giving a speech. So does your name compel people, or rather get people thinking about a particular solution? And if it doesn't, okay, that's okay. That's why you're here. You're like, okay, obviously I don't have a brand that's as strong as I would like it to be. So you can decide today what you want that brand to start to look like, what you want that brand to resemble, because if you've been following us long enough, you know I didn't always have the blue shirt. Sean didn't always have the black blazer. You know, he always had the bald head. He always had the red tie. But the moral is that the brand evolves, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I've been in business. I'm making six figures. I've been a consultant. I've earned some money, but I need more clarity. I'm not earning the capacity that I would like to earn. And I am fully aware of that. Like, that's, I think, the first step of, what did Sean say earlier? He said you can't address a problem you haven't identified. So the moment you identify that I'm doing all right, I got some education, I'm making moves, but I've identified that there's a gap between the amount of money that I want to make and the amount of money that I'm making, there's no shame in getting help, you know? And I'm just sharing that piece, because sometimes as entrepreneurs, you know how it is. Like, we have to be, we have to be everything.
Watch this, Bobby. Carnegie didn't build the bridge, he had the idea. Carnegie didn't build the bridge, he had the idea. You have the idea. Please don't go out there and try to build the bridge on your own. There's so many people that died trying to build bridges. It's the same thing as skyscrapers. Trump never laid a brick or erected a beam.
Yeah.
He had the vision. He had the idea. Listen, guys, the problem is you're trying to be the visionary and the integrator and the solution finder and the solution builder at the same time. You're trying to do all the things and take on all the responsibilities. And it's just not working for you. I get it. I understand. I agree with you 100%. Right? I get it. I understand. I agree with you 100%. There's so many different moving parts. That's why you need a team. That's why you need someone to help you. That's why you can't do it by yourself. It's hard. Like, there's a lot of core competencies that go into this. There's a lot of core competencies that go into being successful in business. And this is why we take people through a process. Coaching is a future-focused, goal and action-oriented process. Emphasis on action and emphasis on process. You're not going to have the vision and then have the bridge tomorrow. That takes time to build. You have to be definitive. You have to have clarity. You have to get the materials. You have to build it. When you have the idea, that doesn't mean they're going to come. You have to market it. You have to sell it. You have to close people on the idea. And let me just go into this real quick, because I know you're still probably saying, okay, Sean, the leadership and the branding, but you still do coaching, speaking, closing, consulting, and this is true. How many ways, and I'm from New York, guys, so just pardon me, right? I'm using New York as an analogy, but I want you to think about the geography and the infrastructure. Think about infrastructure for a moment. How many ways are there to get from Manhattan to New Jersey? How many ways are there? Watch this. You can take a tunnel. You can take the tunnel. Holland Tunnel. You can take the bridge, Tappan Zee Bridge. You can take a barge to get to Staten Island. You can literally park your car on a barge. There was a time when there wasn't a bridge, there wasn't a highway. Now you can drive there, but there was a time when you couldn't drive to Staten Island. You had to take your car and put it on a barge, on a boat, and the boat would take you. They called it the Staten Island Ferry. Now people take the ferry to get there on foot, but they used to have a ferry that took people's cars there. I'm talking to you about methodology and delivery. Delivery. How do you deliver the solution? People say, I'm a coach. No. Coach is a delivery method. What is the solution that you solve? What is the problem that you solve? What is your solution? What is your bridge? Yes, you coach, but coaching is a delivery mechanism. People identify themselves with the method of delivery instead of the solution that they provide and the problem that they solve. Whoa. Speaking. Yeah, speaking.
Wow.
Do we speak? Of course we speak. But when you say I am you just lumped yourself in with all of the other millions of people that solve different problems through the delivery mechanism.
Wow. Like, I don't know if they got that, Sean.
I'm sure they did.
Oh,
because the chat would be lighting up right now. I said I wanted to give you guys a gift. I just want you to think about that while you watch this real quick. Watch what we do again and look at the different methodologies. Look at the different mechanisms that I use to solve the problem. I said Sean Rye East. I'm proud. I said Sean Rye East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. So during that clip, you see me speaking, you see me coaching, you see me consulting, you see me doing podcasts in multiple different places, in multiple different ways. Of course, I'm using my voice to articulate it, but look, we also have books. Why? Because that's the written way, that's the delivery model. So watch this. Planes, trains, and cars, oh my. Helicopters, planes, parachutes. There's so many different ways to disseminate the solution that you solve, but most of you, they don't know what you do. They know how you do it. That's what you're telling them. I am the king of branding. What is it that I do? I help people build personal brands. I am a leadership and branding expert, primarily. The way I disseminate that is a multitude.
Wow.
But I don't come out here and say I'm a construction worker, because now you're a generalist. So when you say I'm a coach, you're a generalist. When you say I'm a speaker, you're a generalist. What is your specialization? When someone says I'm an engineer, I want to know what kind of engineer they are. Okay, great. You got an engineering degree. There's so many different variations of engineer that when you say I'm an engineer, you just lumped yourself in with a million other engineers, and you haven't told me anything definitive about you.
You know, this makes me think back to combat training for us in the Marines, where they give us multiple ways to achieve the objective, right? Multiple ways to achieve the objective. And we learn riflemanship or marksmanship. We learn hand-to-hand combat. We learn how to survive in the water. We learn so many different methods of survival and methods of protecting ourselves and our comrades. And I think that that's a really interesting way to think about your business when you're thinking about competencies and you're thinking about how successful you want your business to be. Because I've noticed that a lot of times we can underestimate what's required to be successful. You know, we can underestimate what's required to be successful. And when we do that, we go into things without having enough in our arsenal. We don't have enough in our arsenal to make it happen. And we find ourselves out of ammunition, so to speak, in the weapon system. Let's say you're a rifleman, you run out of ammunition. Well, now what? Well, if you don't know hand-to-hand combat, you're doomed. You start running. And that's what tends to happen in business, is that if you got a loan, so to speak, and you got money on ice and you're paying your business's expenses with the money, but you never learn to close, when the money runs out, that's equivalent to you running out of ammo. And if you don't have that hand-to-hand combat skill or that ability to shift into hand-to-hand combat with closing, you're toast. It's over. But the individual that says, I know how to close banks, I know how to raise money, I know how to close deals, I know how to offer something that's not been built yet in pre-sale. Like when you have an arsenal or methods rather to collecting revenue or at least acquiring financial capital, you really give your business a fighting chance. That those that don't have an arsenal of methodologies, they just don't have it. So the last piece that I would say to this is, I think we know the importance of having multiple methodologies. That's why we try to do all these things at one time. But I think we lack an understanding of the importance of sequences. So you want to do things in a sequential order. So for me, I learned branding first. The sequence was just as important as the competency. And then after branding, I learned coaching. And after coaching, I learned various other methodologies. And when we try to learn all of these methods at one time, we never really get our hands wrapped around one. And we just find ourselves aware that we should have more methods, but incapable of proficiently executing any one method. And it really isn't great for the business.
Watch this, man. So first, thank you, Tia, for actually asking a question, right? Because the ability to, so I always say this, I say the quality of the answer will depend on the quality of the question. The quality of the answer will depend upon the quality of the question. So I got two things I want to say before I answer Tia. So this is what happens, guys. You get lost in the skill and you forget the solution. You get lost in the skill and you forget the solution. Now your name is a skill. Do you understand? The solution, people still have to wonder about what it is that you actually do. Say, I'm a coach. It's like, okay, great. What do you coach? Who do you coach? Are you a financial coach? Are you a business coach? Are you a leadership coach? What do you coach? When you say I'm a speaker, my son came out speaking. He was a speaker at birth. You're not telling me anything when you say that, except you don't know what you do yet. That's what you're telling me is I am not a professional. It's sad, but true. Someone says I'm lost. Okay, so watch this. You're lost in the methodology, but you forgot the message. You're lost in the methodology of how, and you forgot what it is that you do. That's why when we take people through a 5W framework, the very first one is who are you? And the second one is what do you do? And these are the two problems that people come back to after working with us for years. What happens is they work with us and they think they got the answer and they go out and they make some money because this is what happens naturally. You go out and you make some money, but then they disconnect themselves from the foundation and then they come back around with the same problem, having forgotten after making money. Who am I really at the core and what is it that I actually do? Who am I serving, for God's sakes? Because I'm doing everything. This is the most common statement by entrepreneurs and professionals. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. So I'm going to answer the question now. So watch this, guys. Pay attention to the question. Tia says, so I have people take an assessment of their life and lifestyle to identify where they want improvement. Is it too broad of reach? And I don't want to be extremely harsh, but I want you to examine the question, Tia, and everyone else, please. Examine the question. What is a life made of? And a lifestyle made of? There's too many components of a life to even begin to fathom. So what you're telling me is that you're an expert and qualified to help people in too many compartments to even begin to imagine. I want you to understand this, guys. And thank you for asking the question. I know sometimes when I say asking a question, people are scared. Like, I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to do it because he's going to Swiss cheese my stuff, right? Listen, so thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being authentic, but this is going to help you. What area of life do you specialize in solving? What problems in one's life do you specialize in being a problem solver? What is your specialization? This does not tell me a specialization. So if someone really wants to solve a problem, they're not looking to take an assessment of their entire life and their entire lifestyle for you to say, I can help you with any of those things to identify where they have a problem. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work that way. When you have a backache, do you go to someone who fixes feet? Do you go to an orthodontist? Do you go to an elbow specialist? No, you do not. You don't want to just see a doctor. If your teeth hurt, you want to see a dentist, a professional who specializes in. Now, they're all doctors. They all have their specialization. But there's a specific qualification for your area of specialization. The worst thing that you can possibly do is become a master of generalization. Because what that means is that you're a master of nothing. You know how they say if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything? Back to the gravity piece. Back to the gravity piece. If you don't stand for one thing, then you'll fall for anything. You know, we used to say, where I come from, we used to say that if you don't have a foundation, you're like a leaf blown by the wind. Whichever way the wind blows, there you go. So one day you're a coach, one day you're a speaker, one day you're a consultant. You've got a job, but you've got 10 resumes out in 10 different industries looking for someone to take you. Relate this to sales, guys. Relate this to your money. Relate this to your ideal client. Do you even have an ideal client, or are you just trying to get money from anybody who has more money than you? Real talk. Are you a specialist, or are you just out here trying to hustle and talking about grinding, but you're not going anywhere? Yeah, you grinding, but where are you going? Do you even have a destination? Do you have a GPS? You can't have an ETA if you don't have a goal. You can't make a sale really without an ideal client. You got to know who you're speaking to. And in order to know who you're speaking to, you got to know what you're a specialist in. You can get better along the way. You can pick up other skills along the way. So watch this and please pay very close attention. We got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to give you guys a clinic and help you. This is what we do here at the Breakfast with the Brand. I'm really, really trying to help you, but you got to open your mind, be able to receive what I'm giving you, and then understand that it's based on evidence-based practice and proof. And periodical studies have been the peer-reviewed art. This is not my hunch. This is not something I came up with. This was here long before Sean Rais was even thought of or born physically. What I'm giving you is a science and a strategy and a solution that if you apply it, will work, hands down, always has, always will. It's not specific to your opinion. It's not specific to your emotion. Does everybody understand? When you go to college, they don't tell you to take everything. They tell you to pick one. And then as you get into that one discipline, you can say, okay, I like this. I like this. You can learn more about the core competencies that go into the solution of the problem. So we're going to use me as an example. Draw a correlation. Draw a correlation, guys. Leadership and branding. It's my core components. The problem that I solve. The people that I serve are those that need help with two primary things: leadership and branding. Now, through the leadership and branding vein or main artery, There's a skill needed. I believe that leadership is the language that's needed. It's universal. Leadership is the thing. Watch this. Coaching is a language of leadership. It's a competency of leadership. If you don't have the book, get it. I wrote it. Coaching. Coaching is a competency. It's a skill that's needed to deliver. It's the methodology to deliver the leadership. So because I needed the methodology, I coach and teach and certify and qualify coaches, but not just any kind of coach. Leadership coaches, right? Speaking, you have to articulate it. You have to be able to deliver it. Speaking is a methodology. So yes, I have become much more affluent and qualified in the art of speaking. When you see the commercials have me speaking in multiple different places. Why? What do you think I'm speaking about? I'm not speaking about health insurance. I'm not speaking about life insurance. I'm not speaking about taxes. I'm not speaking about now business, leadership, branding. It is a wealth strategy, but that's not a topic of my conversation. That's Bobby's topic of conversation because he's qualified and has years in that field. You know what Bobby's not talking about? Now, there are quantities of leadership and branding, but Bobby's not talking about leadership primarily and branding primarily because he would be out of his lane. And he would get sideswiped by the specialists that exist in that space. That's like me going over the wealth strategy and talking about quantum. I don't even know the words. That's how qualified I am. I know the idea. I know that it's needed. I know as we make more money, we use different strategies to grow it. But when it comes to leadership and branding, that's what I'm a specialist at. So coaching, speaking, consulting, different delivery models to take the leadership and the branding where they need to go for the person that needs the solution.
You know, guys, if you've been paying attention to just this segment alone, and you apply it to your business, and as it stands right now, there's no way quarter one is going to look like quarter four or quarter three. Like if you literally just like, okay, what's my intersect? This is how it was taught to me, right? Most phenomenal CEOs have an intersection, or business owners, they have an intersection. So when you hear branding and leadership, that's an intersection. When you hear me talk about business and wealth, what I was trained in is entrepreneurship. That was my BS. And my concentration is finance and economics. That's an intersection. And it's in that intersection that you find your niche, so to speak. You can carve out the depth of your unique style. And that's a piece that I think sometimes we don't understand. You know, it's almost like crosshairs without, really going down that road. But just think of it as crosshairs. What's the intersection that you own or that you're best qualified to develop within? And if you can do that within your business, Tia, so because you asked a phenomenal question, let's kind of talk about what your statement was. So you said their life and their lifestyle. Let's just assume that you wanted to make an intersection out of that. Let's say you wanted to look at life and lifestyle. So what is life? Like Sean said, you need to narrow that piece down. Once you narrow that piece down, you say, okay, this is the part of life that I care about. Maybe philosophy. Let's just say life philosophy.
There we go.
So once you decide that that's the piece, then you can deal with your intersection. You can say, okay, lifestyle. What part of lifestyle? Well, quality of parenting. I want parents to have a quality of life that they don't currently experience. So once you say philosophy and parental quality of life, you've got yourself an intersection here. You can say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, or if you want to work with ladies, hey, ladies, I help women that are single mothers come up with a life philosophy that improves their quality of life as parents so that they can retain their femininity and live a life of prosperity and freedom as a wife and a mother. Like that's an intersection.
That's an intersection. Let me go into this a little bit more because I want to address this in the last 3 minutes of the segment, guys. So this was challenging, right? The Swiss cheese was challenging the Swiss cheese segment. If you didn't see it, go back a little bit, right? Because Tia said something, and I dealt with it clearly and with clarity. But I'm glad that she didn't run away, and she actually gives me something else so that I can tie it together and make it all make sense, guys. So she says this is challenging because I knew my pain points, parenting and financial hardship. She said, I closed myself to take advantage of the opportunity, and here I am. Okay, great. So, and the way this is phrased, I want you to pay attention to how it's phrased. Not only do I do active listening, but I also do active comprehension. So as it's stated to me, it sounds like parenting and financial hardship could be the challenges that Tia had. And a lot of us try to turn our pain into our product. We try to productize our pain, or we try to message our misery, or we try to create a solution for someone who suffers from the same problem that we had. Now, if you read my story, if you know my story, you will understand when I was in college, I tried to find out what was the best way for me to take. And in order for me to be successful in the area of psychology, leadership was there. And I looked in my past and I looked in my area and I didn't see leadership. So I said, okay, this is a problem that I suffered from very tremendously, the lack of. So I must undertake this and become the solution to the same problem that I had. So a lot of people do that. That's fine. No problem at all. However, Tia, now that you know that, you still have to decide. You still have to decide because, okay, leadership is the gap. But what specific? What specific area? What segment of leadership? For me, it was personal brand leadership. And it didn't happen overnight. It took about 3 years for me to stumble upon it in service to others. It was in service to others that I found the intersection. So you have to choose one, though. Choose one and then serve through that mechanism, and through the service, all things become clear. It's not clarity comes in and the service follows. No, it's through the service that all things become clear. But you got to be sworn to the service, and you got to be helping people to find out truly through the process how it all comes together and makes sense. But you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. You can't serve all people with all pain points. Parenting is huge. Parenting is huge, and financial hardship is huge. So what segment specifically do you serve? And then speak to those people who suffer from that problem. Dental surgeons' offices are never empty because they know their specialization. Shoulder specialists, their offices are never empty because they know their specialization. Orthodontists, dentists, optical surgeons, their offices are never empty because they know their specialization. You're out here trying to speak to people about a dental problem and they got foot pain. That's the gap. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow. This has been another edition of the Breakfast with the Brand. If this solved something for you, put it in the chat. If this helped you overcome a challenge or a hurdle, if you went from bottleneck to breakthrough in your business through the Breakfast with the Brand, put it in the chat and share it out to somebody, because the world knows they need it and the world knows they need you. But in order for you to be of service to the world, you must have clarity. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow.